Welcome back to the Sad Dad Games podcast. I'm Shan.
I'm Eric.
I'm Tucker.
I'm Scott.
Today we're going to actually be talking about episode 1, Bridget, of Death Stranding, and we'll also do episode 2, Amelie, or Amelie. They kind of say it both, but they usually say Amelie.
Yeah, one of the characters is Die Hard Man always says Amelie, and then everyone else says Amelie. So
yeah,
as far as
because Guillermo del Toro is the worst actor in the
No. Sorry, I meant to say Dead Man.
Because he's not an actor.
It's Die Hard Man is the one that says it weird.
Oh, Die Hard Man.
I've heard it both ways.
I thought
Sean
Uganda was a boy's name.
All right. Yeah, so we're actually going to have to push to get through this because I think
that's how we do it. We commit up front. We're going to do these 2 episodes, and now we have to. Yeah.
And then people are like, and then we give people the bait and switch by the end of the episode. And we're like, by the way, didn't even come close. Yeah. Tune in next time. That's the cliffhanger.
We're going to cover half of an episode of Death Stranding every episode. We're going to do this in like 30 episodes.
All right, so where we left off was the prologue, and we just had the opening sequence of Sam on the beach, and we saw Death Stranding after the 5 opaque entities were floating above him, and he was wearing what we later find out is the Cupid, and he has the cuffs, and BB turns into an invisible BT and crawls down his leg out into the sea or into the ocean.
Normal stuff.
Just a lot of like asynchronous things happening in this liminal space that shouldn't have happened yet. And we need to kind of figure out, like, is this because it's happening out of time? Later we find out, I wanted to bring this up, Amelie, while he's on the beach, while he's a kid, to something that he had brought with him, that this must be something that's really important to you, for you to have been able to bring it here to the beach. And then in that last sequence before we start episode 1, he has the Cupid and BB and the Dreamcatcher and, well, no, he doesn't have the Dreamcatcher in that sequence, does he? And the cuffs. So in a way, it's signifying to have gotten to the beach, those things have to have become important to him at some point, but they aren't important to him now. So this is really out of time.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think that Sam has been pretty resistant towards like Bridges stuff. Like they put the cufflinks on him and he's like, whatever. And then they give him like the Cupid and they're like, go connect everybody. And he's like, nah, I don't feel like it. Like, it's not my mission. So he either is caring about these on a deeper level that he's not willing to admit, or he's going to at some point. Because I think it's pretty like BB being on the beach is like, if that is things on the beach equals like something that is important to that person, BB being on the beach makes sense, because Sam pretty quickly connects with BB. Like even the first time, I guess we haven't gotten to that part yet. I'll stop talking. I'll let us talk about that organically. But like he cares about BB. I forgot that that's in episode 1, and we haven't even talked about episode 1 yet. So I'll shush and let us just get there naturally.
But because everything's like so out of order here, like typically he's jumping to the beach in dreams. But here it's because he's died and it's before he's repatriated. So it's sort of he's achieved reaching the beach in a different way, and but also it's acting as a vision of sorts. I think so. Maybe it's not that these things are representative of like outside of space, like the Jeremy Bearimy, where time doesn't matter.
I wish I was wearing my Jeremy Bearimy shirt. I have a Jeremy Bearimy shirt, and I'm not wearing it today like a fool.
Right. You need to wear it every day. Well, Tuesdays and
they can only work Tuesdays in July. Yeah. and then in the time space where nothing never happens. Yeah.
Nothing never happens. All right. But yeah, so maybe
good place joke for all of you fans. Yeah.
So we don't know, like maybe this is him outside of time after dying, but it could just also be in his death state. He's actually just having a vision. Maybe it's all just symbolic.
Maybe it's both. You never can tell with good old Kojima. He's just doing his own thing.
Yeah, I think later on we hear people hint about like people having beaches and other like robots and other things not having beaches. And so I think beaches are like, I think Shan touched on it last time, kind of like this purgatory in-betweeny state where death is stranded.
Ooh. Ooh.
Reaching.
Good words.
Reaching. I just want to throw in the Death Stranding title there.
Title drop.
That was good.
We're not some kind of Suicide Squad, are we? Destroyed the movie before it even hit theater. I did not want to watch it after I saw that.
Really, it wasn't Pimp Joker. That's what did it for me.
Yeah, I don't know how Jared Leto keeps on getting work. He is there's nothing good he's ever done on screen.
I hated it. Yeah, American Psycho was the most normal he's been, and I hated him in it. But like, I hate him in everything he does. But he keeps getting worse somehow, like Morbius. Like, why is he doing this? And I know it's because he has like a cult following, and so like he keeps getting things. Because,
literally
like,
a cult following. He has a cult.
Like
he has a cult.
Why is he doing this? Not just like, why is he taking these roles, but to humanity? Like, why just stop making movies, please? Why are you doing this?
I don't know. It's like he thinks he's an auteur or something. Is that the word? Yeah. And so he keeps pushing himself to do more interesting things, but they're increasingly worse. And so he's like clearly like losing his tether to the world. Like, he's no Kojima. That's all I'm saying, right? Like he has no sense of artistic style.
A little more fartsy than artsy.
Yeah, it's like if Jake Paul was trying to be like Kojima.
Yeah,
Jared Leto.
I just don't want to waste time thinking about this awful actor that is Leto. He has wasted so much of my life. All right. So, episode 1, Bridget. Sam is chained to his bed and he's crying. So this is Dims again. And we hear a baby cry in the distance. So this is BB. So he's coming back to life because he's repatriated. And he's met by Dead Man, who's played by Guillermo del Toro, who is the worst actor in the game.
Person. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't remember if I talked about this last episode or not, but I'm going to shoehorn it in right now. Yeah. So I think I figured out why he is so terrible in this role. I haven't confirmed this with anything, so it'd be very easily Googleable.
I have done no research. Yeah.
But it sounds
you
like...
think I was too stupid to know what a Googly was?
Yeah. But I think it's true for most actors, as I don't think there was a lot of actor interaction. It sounds like a lot of them just recorded their lines in a studio by themselves. So if you like, that's what it sounds like to me. So that would make sense why Guillermo del Toro feels so inorganic.
They would have had to have done like motion capture too, not just voice capture. Maybe they got a different guy for Guillermo, but I'll look it up.
But I mean, just like interaction. So Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus are not in the same room together acting things out like you would see in The Last of Us, is my theory.
I'm guessing he would have been hard to pin down for, scheduling and stuff.
Because he's so big.
So I don't see any images specifically. I'm looking it up right now. I don't see any images specifically of Guillermo del Toro. I have such a hard time saying his name, but they have a pretty extensive it's lots of motion capture. I'm sure that for 90% of the scenes they had these people mocapping and doing their own performances, and so.
Eric, would it help you to pronounce his name if you said it like what's his face?
If I pretended he was a music composer, so I could mess up.
No. Like in what's the show?
Guillermo. Oh
yeah. See, he just did it.
Yeah.
From Guillermo.
What we do in the shadows?
What we do in the shadows?
Really bad.
Yeah, she's got to do a Nandor accent.
Guillermo. The trope of the weird guy that only works in the morgue vibes.
Yeah. So you might be right, Tucker. In my limited just couple minutes of search, he's the only one that I can't find a picture of him in a mocap suit. So maybe everyone else did it. He's the only one that didn't. You nailed it out of the park. I mean,
nailed it out of the park.
I could be all the way wrong. I've Googled it for 30 seconds, so who knows?
Where are you looking?
Time.
I just Googled it and looked up images. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I did just barely more research than Tucker.
So across his forehead, he has scars. This, kind of looks like he's Frankenstein's monster. Kind of got allusions to that going on. He says not to remove the handcuffs. It's for his protection, and that they're not handcuffs. They're to keep everyone connected. They're cufflinks or whatever. And so Sam's asking about the corpse disposal people. They've been obliterated in Central Knot. So we learn about Higgs a little bit. We learn that he, especially later on, that he's a separatist and he's a terrorist for the Homodemenphobia. So this is a Latin term, homo meaning like men, or and demons meaning insane or out of your mind. So these are madmen, right? And so he wanted the void out in order to destroy connection and destroy. He's an ideologue who wants to destroy the concept of connection and destroy the UCA, United Cities of America. And so, yeah, he's just an extremist. And so it looks like back in the prologue when he was like descending on that area and there was that giant BT, he was just kind of trying to architect and engineer this void out because he just wanted to blow shit up.
Sometimes you just gotta explode things, you know? He's just here to blow things up. Yeah.
I'm guns to blow up Central Knot. Yeah, that wasn't even that funny, but everybody knows what Gunsta refers to.
It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing. He's guns to talk about the turts.
All right. So he says the bridge baby, the BB-28 is broken, and so he keeps trying to push to get BB like burned and incinerated, and that BBs only have like a year expiration date, and it's time to incinerate it. Go on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about how BB was broken. I haven't gone back and watched that cutscene before, but it wasn't clear to me how it was broken because it did look like the device was working. It was flashing and pointing all over the place. In which way did it not operate the way it's supposed to?
I think it was just like the Odradek kind of was malfunctioning. It wasn't like super responsive, and and they did get into danger and it was too late to get out of it. So it was just like it didn't protect them, and they got into danger, and people died because it didn't do its job well enough.
Okay.
Yeah, we also find out later that the people don't know a lot about BBs and like exactly what makes them work the way that they do. And so I think in this instance, it was just like, yeah, like Jean said, it didn't keep them safe. And so it's like, oh, well, this one did a good job, but not good enough. It's time to retire and get a better one, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So Deadman asks about all of the stencils on Sam's body, and he says it must be from when he repatriated, and that one of them is from Fragile being clingy, and that one is more red than the others. I don't know if maybe the others were red at one time, and then they faded to like that handprint outline. Go on.
Yeah. Why do we think? Well, I was just going to ask. Why do we think he has like? What does that have to do with being repatriated? Like the hands of BTs pulling him through to the other side, or like
I think they're trying to grab him back to the beach or something. That's what I was thinking.
I didn't have a solid thought about that, just outside of like something to do with BTs, because they're handprints are a big symbol for them, and so.
All right, follow me on this because I was trying to connect the dots here. So when Sam is at the beach, he goes into the water and he sees a bunch of floating dead bodies, and he finds his own and he swims into it. So this is where the beach being the space where you go when you're dead, and these are the dead bodies after they have passed on. And the seam is when they go through their body back to the other side, which is the real world. Now, in the real world, when we see the black liquid chiralium, that's where the BTs seem to be reaching out from the ground. And later we also see Higgs turn his hands into tendrils and then pull BTs out of the black inky chiralium from the ground, and he also pulls out BT's beach monster, like the Cthulhu Lovecraftian squid thing, right? So I think it's like it's like an inverted monster thing, right? Like I think the black liquid. It seems like the black liquid is like the ocean, like in almost an inverted way. And they're being pulled back to the other side. And so like when Higgs is putting his tendrils in there, it's like he's reaching into the beach and pulling them out of the ocean.
Well, that makes sense, because when Sam repatriates, he has to go into the water and find his body to go back to the other side. So that logic tracks for me.
Yeah, and so it's like
the ocean is like the in-betweener state between the beach and the real world.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if like these hands on his body are because while he's repatriating, these BTs are trying to keep him down in that black liquid chiralium. They're trying to claw him back while he's being sucked back into the real physical world. But I don't think they ever tell us.
I don't know. Yeah, it's been a minute since I played through all the way, but that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
After a while, you just kind of stop questioning some things that are really weird. You're just like, yeah, he's got handprints on his body, and I got packages to deliver. Like, the weirdness just kind of becomes normal.
Yeah, and I was also curious if it was supposed to be symbolic of something else, because I know Sam doesn't like to be touched, but he's also covered in handprints. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. But does he not like to be touched because of what gave him the handprints, or did it come before? At this point, I don't know.
So maybe while he's in the room, there's a voiceover. I think it's from Deadman, or maybe it's Die Hardman, but there's someone who's talking about dooms and that extreme exposure to it, especially maybe while he's on the beach and he's exposed to a lot of like chiral energy and all that nonsense. That extreme exposure to that will give you phobias. And so it's given him the aphophobia.
Well, and that makes sense. Yeah, if he's got grabby hands all over him every time he repatriates, that would give him the phobia of being touched.
I would have trauma.
Yeah. Probably fairly traumatic. Being dragged from one side of the earthly realm to the other.
Dying isn't fun, I guess.
Yeah.
By itself.
You've never tried it. Maybe it's great. Sam would know.
Oh, quick question. What's the closest y'all have come to dying? This is a fun one. I'll go first.
This is Shan's quick question. He's just going to, out of nowhere.
Quick question. All right. So I was driving down the highway last year, and it was like 10 a.m. and there were like no cars between me and this guy carrying, his own personal boat on a trailer, and the boat just flips up off of the trailer and flies at my face. It was like 3 cars of distance ahead of me, and there were luckily not enough cars on the road that I was able to immediately swerve into another lane, and the boat flipped over Final Destination style and just like exploded on the road because it was an old boat. It just shattered. And that could have been my car. I don't know, so that was me. Anybody else?
I've got a good. It's not. So when I was a little kid, I was like 8 or 9 probably. I was just in my minivan driving around with my parents. We were coming home from somewhere, and a lot of train tracks in Illinois where I grew up, and we're just going to cross these train tracks. They've got the arms that come down. The arms are up. Everything's fine. Like train tracks are definitely like if there was a train coming, they'd have the arms down for sure. But they weren't. They were up, and so just without thinking, drive across the train tracks, and then like as we're on the train tracks, we hear this super loud train whistle like right next to us, and we look out the window, and we all just scream because maybe like 20 feet away from us is a train, and we're just like scream, and my dad like swerves and like slams on the brakes and like skids to the other side of the train tracks, and then after we got to the other side of the train tracks, we realized that the train had stopped. It wasn't moving at all. It was just hidden behind a bunch of trees, and I'm sure that like every car that came past, he's like honk honk. So there was no actual danger, but I thought I was gonna die.
I don't.
It's the closest you came to thinking you were going to die.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple other actual scrapes, but that one's more funny.
I was riding my bike down the world's narrowest sidewalk. It was on the edge of like a freeway. Well, not a freeway, I guess a highway. So, cars driving faster.
Semantics.
Well, so freeway, you don't have stoplights. Highway, you got stoplight. Okay. So it has some stoplights on it, and I
What
hit
are some
something.
other differences between highways and freeways, Tucker? I'm sorry, I'm being a smartass. Go ahead.
So freeways tend to be more, they cross state lines. I guess those are interstates. I don't know. But anyway, hit something with my tire, and I was wobbly and ended up falling into the road. And I just remember hearing brakes, and I just closed my eyes because I thought I was going to die. And then I just remember opening my eyes, and my head was right next to a car tire that had stopped just before running me over, and it was terrifying.
How old?
I just got up. I mean, I was I don't know, 20s. Wasn't like I was a little kid. Yeah. But I just got up, waved to the guy that almost killed me, and
thank you for not killing
me. Yeah, thanks for not killing me, and started writing again.
So, when I was in high school, I did some road biking, and there was one day I was coming home quick. I was cruising pretty fast. I was with the wind, so I was going a little over 20 miles an hour or so, and I was going pretty close to an elementary school, and this lady in a minivan passed me and then immediately turned right in front of me, and I slammed on my brakes, but there was no time, and I ran into her hood, flew over her hood, kind of did a somersault in the air, and landed kind of on my shoulders, kind of somersaulted into the ground. And I was just laying there on the ground checking to see if I could still move things, and she jumps out of her van and stands over me and starts yelling, "Please tell me it's not my fault. Please tell me it's not my fault."
It's your fault.
It's kind of your fault.
Was Sleigh Ride playing while you were hit by the car, and did you fly over the hood like Buddy the Elf?
Oh man. It wasn't that entertaining.
No, but I think you had told me about this a year or two ago, and I was like, I don't think I want to get into road biking because I'm pretty sure that I would get hit immediately. And you're like, well, interesting enough, I was into road biking this at one point, and I got hit by a car, and I was like, yep, that seals it. I'm not getting into road biking.
You've got 2 cautionary tales in the last 5 minutes, so 50% of us have had bad experiences road biking.
Yeah.
Everyone I know who skis is dead.
The math tracks on that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, Sam gets recruited by Bridges, quote unquote, to deliver morphine to the president, even though she's just down the road. But
you couldn't do this yourself.
Yeah. Things get kind of wonky though, because as you know, when you walk for a minute or two, you end up going into another state on the map. And so I realized, wait, that 1 mile was 20 miles? On Tim Robinson with that one egg was 20
now it's
eggs.
I feel like the idea of the cities, the space is accurate, buildings and the space between them is normal, but then as soon as you step out into the world, it's a compressed version of the United States.
I don't know if these are supposed to represent the actual, if this is LA or something, no, this isn't to scale. Maybe you really are trekking a super long distance.
You're a giant man. You're 100 feet tall, just walking across the country.
Yeah.
And it's really absurd, the scale of things and what he chooses to represent or not.
He seems really too okay with what's happening to him. Waking up cuffed to a bed and he's got this stuff on him. They say he works for Bridges now. I mean, they just say Bridges hereby enters a contract with Sam Porter, and he's just okay, Does he not have any say in this contract or this relationship? He just kind of seems to go along with it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if porters have some kind of contractual obligation to fulfill things, since there's such a valuable service that if someone's we need you, you have to do it, kind of a thing. So, because he doesn't put up a fight at all. You're right. He's just kind of like, well, you entered into a contract, so I guess I got to do it, kind of a thing. Yeah.
They know the magic words, and they can just make them do whatever they want.
It's just kind of. It's not lucrative to turn people down.
Got to make that paper.
But yeah, anyway, it turns out to be a bait and switch because Deadman just wants him to go there to see the president, and he's like, he wants you to, it's like, I want you to see her, and he's like, her? And so you don't know, is this like is he sexist? He doesn't think a female can be president.
That's really 1990 of you, Sam. Come on, man.
Is he referencing Arrested Development? Is this like an Anne situation? Her? She's as plain as the nose on Anne's face. Anyway, no, it turns out Egg's face. Yeah, Egg said that.
She called it a main egg.
Just go.
It's so cute. She's like,
I don't feel so good.
I'm sure that these parts are really fun for our listeners who haven't seen the shows that we're referencing. They're just like, what are they talking about?
If you haven't seen Arrested Development, you might as well just go kill yourself, because your life has been a waste.
You gotta be careful about this stuff you say on the internet, man. Please don't do that. We love you and you're amazing. Pepper has bad ideas.
Hey, I've talked about mental health enough on here. I can tell somebody to kill themselves. I've earned that right.
Pretty sure if you've been clinically depressed and gone through therapy, you're allowed to say these things, right?
Yeah.
Is that the rule?
If you've had suicidal thoughts, you can joke about it. You just have to know your audience.
Okay, I have a friend who's had suicidal thoughts, and I asked him, and he said it's cool. So
my best friend is Puerto Rican, and that's close enough.
What is that, like? It's a Daniel Tosh thing.
Yeah, the Daniel Tosh thing about
Anyway, so Sam enters into a contract with Bridget to go meet Bridget.
Turns out it's Bridget Bridges, right? Wait,
I don't know if
she's
her name
just
is
Bridget who starts Bridges. Yeah. Bridges. Anyway, so he goes there. It turns out it's his mom. And when you enter this room, there's some beautiful imagery that I didn't really catch the first time. Well, first of all, everything's draped in red. You find out later that like red is the color for the medical team. And black is for security. Blue is for delivery. And there's one other color.
Orange is for
black
corpse.
Corpse disposal.
Orange is
that's
corpse,
right.
yeah. Corpse disposal.
So I think that makes sense for like why
is for cake.
Die Hardman is in black. He kind of represents the head of all security.
Yeah, well, and you see Deadman a couple times wearing red, like a lab coat and stuff, because he's scientist. So I'm assuming tangentially related to medical teams.
But other than that, what I didn't catch the first time is there's medical like tubes and electrical wires or whatever coming from the ceiling, and they appear like the tendrils on the beach.
Yeah, or like the tethers to the BTs when you can. Yeah, it's all there's there. It's connected. Her lifeblood is literally connected by these strands of medical equipment that go up into the ceiling.
They're kind of umbilical cords.
Yeah, in the final scene, they kind of pan up to the ceiling, and you can see where they all connected. And at that point, they didn't even.
Right.
What's that?
This is me being a dick.
Shan just
tilt when you tilt up, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, tilt is up and down, pan is left and right.
You said a thing wrong, and Shan cannot abide that, so you gotta.
Just for the audience to know.
Yeah, well, when they fade the camera up to the top, and you can see these tendrils. They didn't even look like actual tubes at that point to me. I thought they were the actual like Death Stranding things. They looked
the umbilical cord things.
Yeah, they looked like that to me. They didn't look like hard like tubes or anything.
Yeah, they like wrapped, like I think one of them had like a smaller cord wrapped around it, so it really kind of looks like an umbilical cord. They went hard with that imagery.
And I thought maybe it was just like, oh, okay, so this is more chiralium magic stuff that I don't understand yet, because it didn't look like normal medical tubing or anything.
I mean, it might be a little bit. I'm sure that they've integrated some of that technology into their medical stuff.
Yeah. All right, so you meet Die Hardman in person. Well, he already knows Die Hardman from Bridges 1. but he's the right hand man of the. He's the right hand man. He's wearing a black mask, and I'm curious why you think masks are used as a motif in this game, because we're gonna see it a lot. Is it you know what? I think I know why, but I'll let y'all.
So I'll let you talk about the symbolism. I just wanted to do a quick blurb about this. Is another one of those instances of like Kojima weirdness that I love, because like Die Hardman is like a very serious man, and he's like he doesn't crack jokes. He's like, and you're supposed to take him very seriously. And I can see Kojima just sitting there like, I want to make this character that people have to take seriously, and he, you know, you've got to really like, he's a very serious man, but I'm going to have him wear a cartoon skeleton mask for the whole game.
Are we not going to address the mask here?
and we're never going to address it. It's just going to be there, and you're like, and we just don't talk about it because it's normal in Kojima's world. So that always cracks me up. And then, so I think Die Hardman, he always makes me crack a smile because I'm just like, you look ridiculous. Like, what? Why are you wearing a mask? I can't take him seriously, even though the game desperately wants me to.
Well, no. Anyway, anyone else have any thoughts?
I was just going to say the first time that Die Hardman introduced himself was my first thought about whether or not this was a serious game, because we had just met Dead Man, and now we're meeting Die Hardman. And
Die Harder Man with a Vengeance.
Yeah. And I was trying to gauge what kind of game I'm getting myself into with those two names back to back.
Is this a piece of interesting and complex art, or is it just absolutely bonkers?
Yeah. Did I get suckered into playing this? Like, is
Yes.
Shan just trying to trick me into taking this game seriously when it's a giant parody of some kind?
Yeah, this is just a whole game show, and we're gonna plaster this all over the internet.
Well, and I like it because it really walks that line between like serious game and parody. It kind of dips its toes in both sides of that and ends up becoming something very strange and unique, and I dig it.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the masks are used as a way to like intentionally separate yourself from the impersonability of face-to-face encounters. So I think it's actually even though he like represents the ACA, there's something he's concealing and doesn't want to show you and connect. And we also see Higgs wearing the golden face mask. So it's ironic, right? Because like Die Hardman is representing connection, but Higgs is doing the same thing with his mask. So is there something that Higgs isn't telling us that maybe he's concealing something that is similar? Like maybe there's something there. Does he have ulterior motive that we don't know about because he's hiding something there and he doesn't want to connect the way that he's saying he does?
What is it in Land of the Lost? Never trust somebody in a tunic. Shan, is that
yes,
it?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Stupidest movie.
Yeah, never trust anybody in a mask. That is, just like never trust anybody in a tunic, and it works 100% of the time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. Maybe I don't want to get into this, but you remember during the pandemic, the reason that this whole mask thing came to me is because one of the core arguments for whether we should or shouldn't have masks was because we needed to connect to each other with our mouths, or as in smiling. And it's like, I think both sides were bonkers. Absolutely no masks and absolutely masks all the time. Maybe some sort of like common denominator there, meet in the middle, but some arguments were more asinine than the others, and that one it's like a little bit of truth, but you're being a little bit zany about it.
We should have all just gotten like big full-faced skeleton masks. That would have, because then we would have also looked cool, so it would have solved the problem.
Yeah, guess what? The Phantom of the Opera had no problem chasing tail, and he wore a mask all the time.
I mean, he only wore half a mask. The vid just escapes right out of there.
He can still smile.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, we got to really push through this section. So we find out that Die Hardman is a repatriate as well. He mentions that they're both deathless. They're not happy to see each other, so we'll have to find out why. He didn't know that Bridget, his mother, was the president. He hates his mother for some reason. She's Yeah. So
seems like something you tell your son, like put it in a letter or something. By the way, I'm the president.
Annual Christmas card.
Just to keep you up to date.
She mentions Amelie, who went west 3 years ago to help establish the ACA and reconnect. We'll find out more about this later.
Amelie is the first person we meet with almost a real name.
Yes. Although she ends up later going by the name Samantha, and it's like, could you not just go by Amelie? Anyway, Amelie is trying to rebuild the country, but Bridget wanted to send Sam instead. So why did she send Amelie? We don't know. We know that there was a big falling out between Sam and Bridget, so we don't know what that is. Says America won't survive if they don't come together, so she is a huge ideologue, and it's all about connection. And if that doesn't have a sort of Kim Jong-un situation, where when he was pretend he was alive because they couldn't let the idea of him die. It was really funny. And then he turned out he wasn't brain dead like the tabloids said.
He just wanted a break. He was just hanging out. Yeah.
He was probably just like near death, and we'll never know.
Just took a really long nap.
Anyway, so he's opposed to this. He doesn't want to do it. She lunges at him. He's upset at her touch. He finds out she's inking, so so this must be like how cancer represents itself, because she has dead cells inside of her that are already, transferring to the other side because they are death inside of her. So that was like a really fascinating sci-fi way of representing what cancer would represent inside of a body. And so she's just oozing it.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that. That is interesting.
Yeah, just this guy is so thorough. Anyways, where am I at? She's oozing. So she lunges at him, and she leaves all these black handprints on him. He's kind of grossed out by it. She sees the picture that she's in, says she'll always love him. Then as she's dying, it flashes to Amelie instead. And while she's saying, I'll be waiting for you on the beach. And then she dies. So I was wondering what you think this means.
I just remember being confused by like all of this. The first time I played, and then again a little bit this time, even having played the whole game before. Just like, why is it cutting to Amelie here? What is the significance of that? Is it, the only thing I could think of is that Amelie is physically separated from Sam at this time. She's on the other side of the country, she's gone west, and Bridget is about to be, I guess, spiritually separated from Sam by her passing to the other side. And so it has to do something with degrees of separation. Maybe I might just be completely talking nonsense, but something like that.
Yeah, and I was also wondering if maybe it was just a visual way of him connecting memories, where his mom said that, but at one point Amelie also said that to him, and it was just doing a quick way of showing they've both said this to him at some point.
Well, we find out in the Amelie episode that comes right after that Amelie is stuck on the beach, but she's also not, because she's also in Edge Knot City. It's really hard to figure out conceptually how she's both, because
like she's bound there, but not physically, but she can't leave.
Yeah, well, they kidnapped her, but she's not physically there. I don't know.
Yeah, so I took it as where Sam is always at the beach after he dies, that Amelie is in this like state of like, she's, to quote the Princess Bride, she's mostly dead. She's mostly, her body's mostly dead, and so she's spiritually trapped at the beach, and that's where we get our interaction. So that's how her and Sam connect so much, as at the beach.
I wonder if she's some degree of having DOMs, or the other thing, a repatriate as well, because that's something that ties Sam to. She's not a repatriate, right?
Because she doesn't. I don't really know what that means. I assume we'll figure out in greater depth later.
Well, I think then we see the huge age gap as well that happens, where Sam ages, because Sam's on the beach with Amelie Yeah, with
And he
Amelie
mentions,
as a child, and then he gets older. It's weird.
When she sees him in this room, she's like, it's later. She's says like, oh, you look good, and he alludes to her having not aged. So she's outside of time on the beach, but she's also in the physical world. They're just like so loose with the reality here.
Yeah, I was just checking my notes, and at one point she says specifically that she is on the shore of the Pacific.
Yeah, that's Edgenaut City. That's where she was kidnapped by Homo demons and taken to Edgenaut City near the Pacific. But she's also on the beach.
Right.
Unless Amelie is just, I guess, in Sam's beach. That's a figment of Sam's, or
it's a shared beach.
Well,
so I think they share the beach. Yeah.
No, but Amelie can make calls and stuff to Sam, and so there's some kind
his
of
dreams.
No, yeah, but she also.
Oh, you're talking about the chirograms.
Yeah, talks to him via chirogram, like the hologram thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So she is real, and she also projects herself into his beach while he's dreaming and while he's dead before repatriating. So she can visit his beach, but she is physical, but she can't come and go as
she's here and she's not.
Also there.
And she's gone and she's there.
So I'm gonna go kind of cerebral here, but I think that is just another thing of connections is like it doesn't matter the physical form. Like we have connections to ideas and morals and things that are not tangible. So I'm wondering if Amelie here represents those type of things. It represents lessons we've learned in the past, just these non-physical connections we have to the universe around us that are always with us no matter where we are. So Sam is seeing Amelie in dreams when he's repatriating. Is that the right phrase? Repatriating?
Repatriatizing.
The verb, repatriatizing. And so anyway, I'm wondering if there's more symbolism around Amelie here and outside of just the physical of who she is as an actual character, but more so that Amelie represents a lot of these different types of connections we have to non-physical and physical things. And, a lot of times when we see something physical, it brings back a lot of memories. Our senses kind of go wild. Well documented with smell, how smell brings back memories and activates those connections. So I'm wondering if Amelie is kind of like that to Sam.
I was trying. Yeah, it wasn't directly related to that, but I was trying
As a
when he got the dream catcher from Amelie. As a kid, he got it. Okay, so he was wearing it before that scene where she handed it to him at the beach. So at one point she hands it to him on the beach, but he had it before then. We'd seen him with it before.
As a kid? Or no, well, what are you talking
Scott, I think the part that you're talking about is Sam is having like a flashback while he's on the beach. He's having a flashback to when he got that from Amelie as a child.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think you have it like right from the beginning of the game. You've got that dream catcher thing.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And so that must have been like the first time or the first times he must have been dying as a kid and then repatriating, and he was constantly visiting Amelie on the beach, and she gave him the dream catcher to be able to remember her, or just I don't know. I wrote down like what she says around the dream catcher when we get there. Anyway, all right. So he's recruited to Bridges at this point, so now you have to go dispose of Bridges' body before she causes a void out in Central Knot or Capital Knot City. I think you're at. So you run up there.
I get Central Knot and Capital Knot mixed up.
It's really hard, man.
All the time. Yeah.
Especially because it's like the corpse disposal team had a void out in Central Knot City, but it seemed like they voided out right at Capital Knot City because you go right back there. It's like I was so confused about like where things were. Anyway, But yes, you're at Capital Knot, but I think it's adjacent to Central Knot, but Central Knot got blown up. It's so confusing.
They should have called it like Middle Knot City or something like that.
No, Middle Knot City is in episode 3.
Oh, is there another one called Middle Knot? There's not enough
it's in the whole
to go before the word knot to distinguish these cities. Yeah.
There's a whole story thread about Middle Knot and Fragile and stuff, so we'll get there.
Well, never mind then. Yeah.
You can't... These names are taken. All right. So anyway, we had already heard about this, when we were disposing of the body with Igor, that we got cremating them, getting rid of them brings the time fall. And that's when we see after the smoke, there's an inverted rainbow. Timefall is imminent, and he's suddenly surrounded. He's suddenly urgently told you have to burn BB-28 before you leave. They blame it for Central not getting blown up. But BT enters the incinerator, and this is where I had mentioned last time that it walks in there with its hands, and it touches the blood on the ground from his boot, and its hand sizzles. And we find out in episode 2, he gives his boot to Deadman, and he says, hey, something happened when it interacted with my blood. Can you look into this? And they end up manufacturing these like blood bombs out of it because there's a sort of allergy or interaction that happens between his blood and a BT that sort of sends them back to their world.
I think it's because Sam has dooms and is a repatriate, and so his blood is like BT poison.
All right. Let's see.
But I like this part a lot because previously I think it's Deadman says something about like people with people with dooms can. I started playing Beyond Good and Evil, and the bad guys in that game are called the Doms. And so get ready for me to say that wrong a lot of times.
I was wondering why you said Doms earlier. I was like, that's not even close.
So dooms, the thing that Sam has his condition, it's indicated earlier by Deadman that people with dooms, it's dangerous for them to connect to a BB, probably because people with dooms already have some kind of ability to detect BTs, and connecting to another thing that can further enhance that might be dangerous in some way. So, but then Sam is in this incinerator. BTs come in, things get hairy, and he's like, "Screw it, I'm just going to do it." Like, I got to get out of here, kind of a thing. And so that's when he connects up to BB and makes his escape.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the actor in the movie The Great Escape, and I couldn't think of it, so now it's not funny. I could reference Chicken Run. Chicken Run would work.
There you go. Arguably a better movie. Yeah,
it's the same movie. It's a
the same movie,
shot
but
with
with
meat.
claymation chickens. And if claymation chickens can't make anything better, I don't know what can.
Great Escape. It is Steve McQueen, which is the name that, since we were talking about it earlier, we were talking about House. Well, before the podcast, we were talking about House. He has a rat. Hugh Laurie. In House, he names his rat Steve McQueen, which I just love. Anyway, completely irrelevant. I love The Great Escape. It's a great movie. Anyway, so he hooks up to the BB, and when he does that, he can see Mads Mikkelsen. We're going to see this a lot, and somebody apologizing to him. This is very brief. This enhances his dooms presumably to level 3. He can now see floating BTs connected by tendrils to the ground. So I think this is where it's connecting into the ground to the ocean on the other side, which is the beach, maybe.
Yeah, can we talk about BTs for a second?
Sure.
Because this is one where it's really interesting. I don't know. You see BTs kind of like these floating ghosts, but then you see them as like muck monsters. I'm just trying to figure out like kind of what the difference is. And
it's the same, but I think they're attached by like those tendrils, I think are like umbilical cords. So they're able to float when they are tethered to the ground.
Yeah.
So they have to always be tethered to the other world.
Yeah, and I like their visual design because everything about it is unsettling. They're these weird kind of like faceless things that are humanoid but look sort of like weird blob monsters. They have umbilical cords as adult forms, which is unsettling. They float a little bit above the ground, which makes them feel otherworldly. And then not only that, when they move across the Earth, their forms that Sam can see when he's connected to BB, they float. So nothing is actually touching the Earth, but they still leave behind their liquid chiralium like mucky handprints as they walk around, even though their hands, like the hands on the figure, are nowhere near the ground. They're floating like several feet above the ground, but they're still leaving these gross handprints on the ground. And it's just everything about their character design is not what you expect it to be. It's unsettling and it's creepy and it's very effective.
Yeah. I think this again speaks to, like, remember how I described chirality as being like a 3D mirror object, and if you took it out of that 2D plane, these 3D objects couldn't be superimposed on each other. Again, like, I think these, like, remember when Sam is repatriating and he sees these floating dead bodies in the ocean. Now imagine those floating dead bodies in our chiral physical universe, and now they are floating in air in our world, because that is their ocean on our side. Maybe.
Yeah,
it's a chiral representation of their world, and so like our world is their ocean.
Interesting. Yeah, there's some weird imagery going on that probably has deeper meanings than we realize, because Kojima is like that. But yeah, super cool stuff.
Yeah. So Tucker, were you referring to like that Lovecraftian squid monster we'd seen before? Like, what's the difference between those and the BTs that we've just been discussing? Like, are they the same thing, and why do they look different?
So we see like the BTs, and maybe I don't know, because we see the BTs that are kind of floaty around, but then even towards the before the void out, you see what's his bucket getting dragged down by mucky hands. And so just trying to figure out, like, just BTs exist in this world, I guess in our world, and it seems like a couple different forms. So there's
So when time falls on the ground, it accumulates chiralium, and chiralium is the portal to the beach, and that's where their BTs are that float and that come out of the ground are the same thing, but they're doing it through the medium that is liquid chiralium.
I also think it's
just allows for a stronger presence then, right?
It allows them to act. It's a portal that they can actually reach through.
Well, and I get a vibe of them being kind of like, and this might be way off, but they're sort of like fourth dimensional beings, where we're seeing like our three-dimensional brains are trying to make sense of how we're seeing these creatures presented, which is why they're like these weird floating monsters, and they leave handprints on the ground, but they also come out of the ground as muck monsters when they grab you. It's like a lot of maybe like otherworldly fourth dimensional shenanigans happening, and it's trying to represent in a 3D space for our brains to understand it. And it just looks detached and weird, but you know, if we could see in 4 dimensions, it would just be like one thing grabbing Sam and pulling him down.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely adds to the surrealism of this world.
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, very cool, atmospheric.
Just super weird.
Yeah, super weird.
Gonna get real weird with it.
So Kojima says before he does anything.
he gargles a beer. I've got very little time left on this world, and I'm gonna get real weird with it. All right. So anyway, you rush back to Capital Knot City, and Deadman wants to take care of the BB, and he's like, no, we owe this BB our life. And so he's okay, but I have to see if I can fix him. And Deadman says, give my regards to the president, even though she's dead. So I realize, okay, while they're in public, he's pretending that she's alive in case there are any listening ears. And because later he also says over the intercom, come to the president's office, she's waiting for you. And they're just like talking in code because they can't have people outside of that office knowing she's actually dead. Anyways, Sam collapses and dreams of Amelie and a young Sam on the beach, and she gives him a dream catcher and says she'll always be with him. And I realized the dream catcher, the reason that he used this is because it's a symbolically an item that has like a sort of webbing connection. And so just more of that connecting stuff. Also, when he looks down at BB, I took a picture of this. I didn't notice until I went scrubbing through the video because I paused it at just the right time. When he looks down at BB and he like sort of imprints and connects with him, there's this little bubble that floats out, and it's in the shape of a heart.
Shape of a heart. Yeah. Well,
I didn't see it.
Whenever you rock BB, like if you take BB off your chest and you rock him to sleep to soothe him, do the same thing. BB will give you a little heart bubble.
I love that. Very
Kojima, because it's like, what should we have this weird tube baby? Let's get a little bubble in the shape of a heart.
Yeah, it was Dead Man, Die Hardman, the little heart bubble thing, and the weird like chiralium fueled animation thing that Amelie has with the green army men, whatever, the poorly animated thing. Again, I was just thinking, am I getting trolled here? You know,
what am I playing?
Like this is really weird.
Been punked.
This is all just an elaborate ploy to get Scott to play a super weird game. Yeah.
We're actually not even recording.
Yeah. You're a jerk. Or is that yeah, that's always funny when they like, what is the thing that they do to D? What do they call that? When they go through that elaborate process to trick her.
Where they make her think she's a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the joke's on me that whole episode.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
That one's rough.
It's brutal. That is one of their cringiest episodes.
In the Charlie McDennis, what is she hoping she gets again? Emotional battery or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I get emotional battery again.
Because they battery her all day, every day. All right. Okay, episode 2, Amelie. All right, we're just at the hour mark, so hopefully we can rush through this.
We're making good time. We're doing
a little
all right.
bit longer. All right, so come to the president's office. She's waiting for you. Die Hardman says Amelie is the new face of Reconstructionism, and she walks in. It's been 10 years. She hasn't aged. He knows why. She refers to Bridget as my mother. Now, I didn't catch this. It was pretty subtle. They're supposed to be brother and sister, right? But also so a shared mother, but she says my mother instead of our mother. There's a lot of subtle hints that they're dropping, but you don't understand what it is. There's just like, this is a modern family situation, and I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, her body
I'm
is
now
still
just thinking of Die Hardman and Dead Man as the Gunkles in this modern family.
Oh man, can we get a sitcom spin-off of that?
Just imagine like a mockumentary, and we just have them on the couch giving like a talking head of. So anyway, the separatists came and tried to blow us up again. And it's not even that funny, but.
But you know what? You stuck to your guns. You gave it your best, Shan.
The key is to always know when to bail on it if you know it's not working, and that recovers it because of the self-awareness.
Yeah, the answer is never. You beat a joke until it's dead. That's my method. If it doesn't work, you just double down and keep trying.
You over-explain it.
Jokes are always funnier if you have to explain them.
Yeah.
What I like to do to Eric is when he's over-explaining it, then come in and just like attack him at the end or zing him. And so I actually kind of steal the laughter from him by throwing him under the bus. And it's sort of a dick move, but if you can steal and get the bigger laugh, it's fantastic.
Whatever you can do to get that sweet, sweet laughter high. You got to steal it from a friend, so be it.
Because then Eric can't get it back, once you've got
nothing says friendship like constant belittling and stealing.
Comedy is a zero-sum game.
Yeah. That's right.
If you get that
laugh, the other person doesn't. That's how friendships work too.
Yep. That'll track. That sounds right.
All right. Her body is still on the beach. She doesn't get to grow older. She couldn't repatriate at the seam. She says he looks good. There seems to be tension there. Die Hardman says that she will be known as Samantha American Strand, and she's the new president. Now, why Samantha?
Because it could also be Sam. Yeah.
Because it should be Sam?
Well, I don't know, because I honest to goodness didn't give it any thought. I thought it was just another one of Kojima's like naming things. It's like, it's his sister, Samantha.
That's not how sister names work.
I don't know. Well, things work however you want them to. If you're,
do you have a sister named Erica?
Yeah, I've got 2 sisters named Erica. I bet you feel stupid now.
Erica and Erica too.
I don't. I have a sister named Rachel, not Erica.
And if she had a brother, it'd be Rachel Lowe.
Yeah, Rachel Lowe.
It's not that funny, but another terrible Office reference. All right. So clearly this seems to be referencing a sort of parallel or chirality to Sam. They want you to think of her as what Sam wasn't, because he was supposed to take her spot in reconnecting America, and now she's adopted the mantle. I feel like that's what it's referencing. America, because that is like her mantle, and Strand, which is her actual, it's their family name, right? He was Sam Strand, Bridget Strand, and Amelie Strand, and so she actually has her actual name.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it.
Yeah, okay. I think I wikied this when we started playing, and that sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm just too lazy to pull it up again. So
I'll be damned if I'm going to look it up again. Yeah. I looked it up once and I'm done.
All right, so then they so Amelie says that Sam ran away and cut them off. So they have conflicting stories here, because Sam thinks it was them, he thinks it was, there's tension here. Amelie went west. So Die Harmon starts giving a voiceover. Amelie went west, saw every BT from a mile away, convinced every community to join, got to Edge Knot City at the Pacific, but a team, the Homo Demens, wiped them out. Amelie was taken, and that's where I got really confused. So she is physical, she is in the real world, but she's also on the beach. So we'll have to figure this out later. We don't have to get back into it.
The story's not going to give us any clues about it for a minute, if I remember. Like, they just kind of let you figure it out.
And they get kind of hand wavy. She can't leave the city, but she's fully welcome to just like talk to whomever she wants. It's very civil prison. This must
be a super chill prison. They're like, yeah, just kind of hang out.
Yeah, the Homo Demens are very, very accommodating when they're not trying to blow up cities.
Yeah.
It's like a Scandinavian
maybe we should take a lesson from the Homo Demens on how prisons should be. It sounds like a very Scandinavian prison.
As long as you don't privatize it, things can be okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the Homo Demens just want to be left alone, but so they're keeping Amelie as insurance to be left alone. They are a militant separatist group that run Edge Knot City. He's heard of them. They are terrorists that go around towns killing people and leave craters, led by Golden Face, who is Higgs. But they didn't. They haven't said
Golden
Higgs.
Face. I love that. Yeah.
I want to call him Golden Face because they don't call him Higgs until the end of this episode, and Golden Face is funnier. Hey, Golden Face.
Every time you say I don't even pick up on it until like a few words later. It's like, oh right, we're doing a bit here. It just makes sense.
Michael Scarn's greatest enemy.
Yeah.
Hey, Golden Face, go puck yourself.
Put the bomb in the puck.
All right. So, yeah, that's where I was confused. It's like, okay, so if he's a separatist, he wants to blow things up. It seemed like he was protecting Sam at the beginning because he was pointing out the BT, but maybe he was just saying, hey, by the way, there's the BT that I summoned. I want you to die so that we can cause a void out. I don't know what's going on here. Also, while they're showing Higgs and depicting how he's evil and will blow everything up, they depict a void out behind him. And it's similar to the visual that we see when Amelie is on the beach and she's walking off and it shows an apocalypse. And that looks like a void out too. When it's showing, anyway, I didn't know if that was supposed to be a void out as well, but on an apocalyptic level. So I just love the consistency in his visual language to be like, these are both chiral void outs, both on that extinction level and and these void outs here in the physical world. So I just thought that was fantastic. Good for him. So consistent.
Telling you stuff, but you got to pay attention to pick up on it.
All right. So Sam asks if the suicide that took out Centronaut was one of theirs, but they don't know. So if the suicide was like, well, maybe the Homo demons came in intentionally suicided, quote unquote, this person so that they could cause a void out. So maybe there was something confusing there, and they were just trying to blow
suicide bombing just got real again. Because that is
murder bombing.
I mean, it's like a suicide nuke.
I don't know. Yeah, man, things get fascinating.
It's kind of 1 to 10. How allowed are we to say suicide bomber on the internet? Like, is that not a good? Should we maybe?
We're not
good,
monetized. Bad? The algorithm isn't very favorable to us anyway.
Yeah, might as well throw in suicide bomber as many controversial topics as possible.
I was going to mention next that they are decentralized but ruled by ideology, exactly like ISIS.
Yeah, and cryptocurrencies.
The same thing. Indistinguishable.
If you like cryptocurrency, you are part of ISIS. There we go. Some more.
The same thing, but different, just like the chiral stuff that we've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah. I can't remember what
All right.
I had a half-baked joke. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, he's given the Cupid to make connections with all of the knots across America to reestablish the United Cities of America. Now, very obviously, it's Q-PID, but it's Cupid because Cupid makes connections.
Funny little bird, but it gets
you see it. It's got funny little bird, but it gets the job done.
Yeah,
Cupid's
I also
sparrow.
just thought it was Q-tips. That's all I can think of when I read it, and the little subtitle or the closed captioning on it.
Go ahead and connect the Q-tips.
Yeah, Q-tips.
The connecting
Q-tips
necklace of Cupid.
Yeah.
All right, so here he rejects the call, like any good, hero story, or the monomyth, as I have learned that it can also be called. Like a pretentious dick, I'm gonna have to say these things.
Shan's job is to find the most verbose way to say anything. Yeah.
This is to teach people things, right?
Yeah, Campbell is rolling in his grave right now, Shan.
Wait, who?
Campbell, the guy who came up with the whole hero's journey thing, wrote Man with 1,000 Faces.
Oh, the
same as the
guy.
soup guy.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know his name.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry,
soup
but
guy.
yeah, you know what you're
Tucker and
See,
I
I'm not.
the soup guy.
I'm not the only pretentious guy in this. Now you guys are surrounded now. Welcome to the party, pal. See, this is why Scott and I got along so quickly, is because I realized that I was no longer just talking to myself in conversations, that I was having a conversation with somebody.
It's okay. Tucker and I are going to go start our own dumb podcast. It'll be better with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
Hookers
Futurama
and
joke. Here we go.
Have fun with your Aquaria, jerk.
Aquaria.
Your podcast is bad and you should feel bad.
Go kill yourself. All right, so he rejects the call. I'm Sam Porter Bridges, not a Strand. I'm not a part of this outfit, and you all saw to that. So he thinks that he was rejected, so this is where there's tension here. I'm not getting involved with you or anyone else ever again. So he wants to isolate. He wants to be a recluse. He doesn't.
A teenager.
Yeah, right. Tucker can relate to this.
tantrum.
He was an emo back in high school.
Closeted
He
emo,
is.
but yeah.
Tucker, you were a emo?
Well, he realized emotionally he was afterwards.
Yeah, like years later, it was just like I was taking inventory of my life and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Outside of the clothes, I checked every single box. Yeah.
The long lock of hair.
No, I can't because my hair only has one style. I can't do a death mullet.
Dead wet rat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he says he's not a Strand, and Stranded is his family name, so it seems to be saying he's not a part of his family anymore. He wants to reject them. But he is saying that he's Sam Porter Bridges, which is a name he just adopted while he's rejecting the offer to join Bridges. So I was confused by this, but he's very clear about what he's saying in his head.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just anything to not be connected to his strand name, you know?
In my, like, the best I could make out of it is he's saying he is recruited, but he doesn't belong. He is no longer, like, a part of the family, the ideology. He once was part of them, but now he is simply tethered by contract only. That's the best I could do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he thinks the whole Reconstructionism is futile. He's very cynical. BB gets brought back to him, and Deadman thinks that will make a good combo for some reason.
Yeah, earlier Deadman was like, don't you dare connect to a BB, and now he's like, yeah, I fixed this BB up for you. You guys are perfect for each other. Here you go. Slap on the bum, sends him on his way.
So I think he's there. I think to me is referencing when they're taking when they run into all the BTs after cremating Bridget, is he has to use the BB to get out of there safely. And so I think that's where Deadman is saying, oh, you guys made a great team here in this instance. Here, you can use this BB going forward because you proved that you can make it work.
Yeah, it didn't immediately kill you, so maybe there is something there.
Yeah.
We just totally didn't know the science.
Your brain to just melt, and so it's probably fine, yeah.
No one really sticks to their principles in this game. It's like, we got to get rid of this BB. No, don't. Okay. You know, like, I don't want to be part of Bridges. It's like, slap a bracelet on him. Okay. Fine. You know, no one respects boundaries. You know, his mom, who's like,
son of a bitch,
saying, his mom who says, I love you. She's like dying, touching him. It's like, man, this woman knows no boundaries, you know? Shouldn't she be aware that he probably is like dying inside right now? But she's just like, nah, this is about me right now.
Personal bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, get out of my room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this Deadman did the same thing, you know? Like, he reached out his hand to shake his hand. He's just like, oh, yeah, that's right. You don't like to be touched. And like 45 seconds later, he walks through him, you know, just like, oh, sorry. You know, like, there had to have been a better way to show him that he wasn't there. He was just like, nah.
Yeah. Passive aggressiveness seems to be the preferred communication method in this world.
Yeah.
My favorite is, like, I feel like half of the time when Sam hops in the shower, there's always like a little boodly boop, and then like someone hops on a call, and you're like, dude, like, can you give me a minute? Like,
that's not even just like I prefer to be a disconnect person. That's just like normal human decorum.
Yeah, you don't talk to people in the shower.
They're the weird ones.
That's private time. What does Michael say on The Office to Jane? He's like, this is the bathroom. I thought this is where you liked your alone time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then immediately after this, Sam has a dream that he's on the beach. He's lying on the beach, passed out. Amelie approaches and says he is Sam Strand. He disagrees and says he's Bridges. So he's again, I think, rejecting his family and his quote-unquote destiny. And he is just under obligation by contract. But she's, you know, she wants to instill that ideology in him, and he's rejecting it. That, I think that's what this is.
Yeah, trying to emotionally distance himself from the ideology of it, and just like, nope, I've just got a job to do.
Yeah. All right, so she says a strand is a rope or a bond, and it flashes to all the dead animals, while a stranding means washed up on the shore, and being stranded is when you can't go home. And she says she is stranded on the shore of the Pacific. She takes the dream catcher, which I noticed, has a little chiralium gold crystal in the center, similar to later you get something from Fragile that has something similar, but we can't talk about it yet. It hasn't happened.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
That's so little that I said. Anyway.
I had forgotten all about it, and it just spoiled it for me. Ruined it. I'm looking at it. Oh, yeah, there's a little piece of chiralium in the middle of the Dreamcatcher. I don't know how I never noticed that before. It's, like, extremely obvious. It's right in the middle and very golden.
Yeah. All right, she says, you're free, but we're still connected, and places the Dreamcatcher in his hand. Suddenly, she's in black. Okay, so this is for very few frames. And then she's crying because of dooms, presumably, and a rainbow lens flare shoots across her face. So then immediately after, she's back in her red dress. Y'all caught that, right?
Yeah.
Do I know what it means?
Yeah, that was weird. I put that in my notes.
Who friggin' knows? No idea.
All right. Thoughts?
I don't know.
No thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's equal chances of it being they forgot to update it before making it into production, and some symbolism. Yeah.
They fired the continuity team, and it just slipped through. Yeah.
You never can tell with Kojima. It could be just a holdover from an earlier build, or it has some deep, significant meaning that we just went over our heads. Yeah.
Well, then, but she's back in red, and she asks him to come back, and she'll be waiting for him on the beach. And then she's back in the black again, but the mood lighting has changed, and there's the apocalypse in the background, the void out, the extinction, or whatever this is, the next Death Stranding probably, and she walks off into that apocalypse vibe. So the black dress seems to be referring to whatever is calling her into that void out.
That big beach void out.
Yeah. So it seems, and when she flashed back into her red dress, that's when she felt like connected and warm and human again with Sam, and then she just kind of like went weird and then started walking off into the apocalypse again. So it seems to be representing some sort of duality in her. And and black also is very specifically the color of the liquid chiralium and all of the BTs and everything. So black is associated with death very obviously. And so maybe it's just symbolic of her and death being associated as she's walking to that. I feel like they talk about something later that we could probably tie back into that. But
you come back to this beach a few times. We'll be able to dissect this more in depth later when they give us more context clues.
All right. But yeah, then it's like, well, if that's what the black means, then what does the red mean? Because everything else is desaturated here on the beach, but she can wear red, and she has the gold necklace, but all right, doesn't matter yet. All right. So so back in the room, that's when they talk about the chiralium. Too much of it causes phobias and dooms. So we got that cleared up. He's offered again to connect, agrees to only do it for Amelie. The Cupid is, let's see. Yeah, all right. So yeah, he has the Cupid. The terminals are called knots, just like random notes that I've jotted down here. So more connecting terms, just so obvious, throw it in your face, Kojima style. It's either subtle, it's like it's a spectrum, and there's nothing in between, right? Just extreme one way or the other.
Yeah, it's all very obvious, like not symbolism, just beating you over the head with it, or like completely weird, subtle, borderline nonsense symbolism. Yeah. Well, I feel like this is the part where you really kind of get going in the game. You've made a couple little deliveries before, but this is where it like starts to be like you're making like real proper deliveries. The game really gets going in earnest. And I'm a big fan of like how every piece of inventory needs to be physically represented on Sam's body. Like he's got to carry it somewhere on his person. It's one of the only like inventory management systems that has been like really complex that I've also found enjoyable. It's like Resident Evil 4 and this, where there's any level of complexity to the inventory. But I like this because it's like you have to consider weight and like balance and things like if you have a really heavy object and you stack it on top of like the top part of his backpack, it makes him like tip over more easily. And so I like that you have to really consider how you pack these things onto Sam's body to make him easier to, or not hit so that he doesn't tumble over so easily.
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 inventory management in the original was like, it was this micro gameplay loop. It'd be like you're in the middle of almost dying, and then you'd go to your inventory stash and you're like, well, I want to pick up a green herb. So you would take
Where
5
do I put
minutes.
This egg? Yeah.
And you'd start combining herbs and you just like optimize your entire storage because there was no optimize button. And you just like calm down, you'd relax, and then you'd be like, chainsaw guy, and you'd be right back
what
into
was I doing
it.
before I paused? Oh yeah, about to die.
And then you get into these really complicated situations where it's like you jump down into some well water and you're like, well, I'm not going to go back and forth to the inventory box, but I really want to catch all 7 of these fish right now. And so you have to really figure out how to optimize your inventory or what to ditch, because you got to catch and sell these fish. And then you duck down and you start stabbing them with your knife. Man.
What I do really like about Death Stranding's inventory system compared to like a lot of other ones, because Resident Evil 4 has its own inventory system, super fun, like little micro game that you get to play in the downbeats. But even then it has limited slots. Like, and I might be wrong about this, but I think technically there's not you're not limited by slots. It's just like how much you can actually carry, and there's no slots. It's like it's just all physically represented. It's like, how high can you stack it? I think there's a height restriction. Once it gets like his backpack gets so tall, the game's like, that's too much. But like, it's all about just, it's more organic, I feel like, where you have to pack these things on his body that you have to find a place for them to fit. But it's not like, okay, you have 10 slots, you can carry 10 things.
Mm-hmm. All right. So as he's leaving, he has another BB memory. And Mads Mikkelsen is saying he's sorry to Lisa, a woman that's on a gurney or whatever, and says that he'll take care of BB, and then he runs off with BB. All right, so while you're running across the land, you have your first true moment of horror as you see a mule in the distance, and it lights up.
And that like the little musical sting, like wow, that little horn noise that instills fear into your heart.
This is as bad as a BT or worse. There's a true horror to being chased. Yeah, but you don't know that at first. And
I don't know, Scott. Did you get caught by a mule, since this is your like proper first time? Did you get caught by a mule? Did you try to fight it? Tell us about your first experience encountering a mule.
This is where I have to admit that I didn't get to the mule part, but I am aware of it. I read a little bit about it, so I haven't fought them yet, but I did learn that I could fight them.
You're going to have to really push to catch up with episode 3 by next week.
And I will. I have plans to. Last week was spring break, and I didn't have nearly as much time to myself as I thought I would because my kids were home all the time. So, but that week has ended, so I'll have plenty of time to catch up.
Anyway, it just reminds me of like, I love how different Resident Evil games have different genres of horror. And for me, the scariest one was always Resident Evil 3 because the horror genre was cat and mouse. And so you just have Nemesis chasing you the entire game. And it's like the scariest thing that's ever happened. Just at any time, he can just jump into any building and then he just chases you for like 5 minutes straight. And that just like gives you pure anxiety more than just like any other game.
Constant, unrelenting stress. Like, super fun. You should totally play the game.
Yeah. But yeah, we find out like mules, he has like some fascinating lore around them. How, does anybody remember exactly like how they became mules?
It's like they robots took over a lot of deliveries, like AI, after the Death Stranding, AI and robots took over the deliveries. But then people were like, well, you're taking jobs away from people. People need these jobs, to help rebuild the country.
Seems so real right now.
Yeah. And so they started giving them back to people, but then the people kind of went a little bonkers and got addicted to like stealing packages. And those people became mules.
That's also real.
Yeah, that's real too.
You ever swallowed a balloon?
I have I have one of those doorbell cameras, and my office that I work in every single day is right next to my front door. It's like you walk in my front door and then turn right, and it's immediately my office. And so I said turn right, and I pointed left. Not
it was
anyways.
right to us.
But it's right next to right next to the front door. And so I, like the other day, we had an Amazon package dropped off, but I was in the middle of a meeting and I was like, I'll just grab it after my meeting. And then like 5 minutes after the package was dropped off, I saw on like the doorbell camera, this lady like gets up on it's like 5 steps up to it's not a small like walk up to the porch. She like gets up on the step, like starts to reach for the package and then just like looks right at my doorbell camera and then goes, oh, what do you, hello, what do you, I was trying to, okay. Like she was trying to like play it off like, oh, I thought I saw there was on your porch. It's, oh, okay, never mind. Like, I was like, man. But I think it was like mop pads or something. Like it was just the dumbest, like she could have stolen it and it would have meant nothing to me. Like it's so dumb. So she's a real life
That's
mule,
the petty crime you
stealing
want
packages.
to commit.
Yeah.
Oh man. I've done a lot more for a lot less. All right. So, after this, the mules go away because BT show up. So it's just a warning because mules are going to show up in earnest later on. BBE gets autotoxemia, so you have to go attach him to an incubator. And that's when Deadman gives lore around how these BBs are created. They are fetuses that are extracted from a still mother, and the incubator attaches or simulates the connection back to the still mother who is kept alive so that it can reestablish that connection and then comfort and heal the BB. And so and I think because we just had the flash to Mads Mikkelsen talking to Lisa, we're to assume that the still mother that Deadman is talking about is Lisa, that is off and dead, or half brain dead. I think that's what it's implying anyway.
Yeah, so get very much so Matrix vibes from BB lore.
Oh yeah,
all these still mothers sitting in pods being kept alive so the BBs can work, and yeah, just super weird.
It's like the weirdest possible use for Wi-Fi is to connect these baby pods back to their dead mamas.
Isn't there also like a Blacklist episode where they had like incubator mothers that they just like would kind of put under for years at a time and just use their bodies as incubators, and kind of feels like that too a little bit. I'm guessing nobody has seen Blacklist. I've seen a lot of television. A lot of things are going to come up. All right. Okay. So he gets attached to the BB even though he doesn't get attached to anyone. I thought this was an interesting thing, right? Like he's a recluse. He's isolated. He doesn't want to touch anybody. Doesn't want to talk to anybody. Doesn't want to join bridges. But this BB, for some reason, I don't even know if he knows, unless it's maybe related to that picture where that woman was pregnant. He is enamored of this baby, and we don't know.
Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah, that's a good theory. But also because the baby likes to give thumbs up, it likes to show its butt cheeks. It also likes to give little hearts. So
little heart bubbles. It's got cute baby butt cheeks. Yeah.
I remember the first time I played this, like being so creeped out looking at the uncanny valley-ness of this fetus bridge baby that like it was hard to even just like look at it. I would just kind of like look off to the side whenever it was on screen. And now it's like I kind of see it. It's kind of maybe it's because I'm watching the director's cut and it's like in better resolution and stuff and better graphics. It's less uncanny.
Cute baby
it's
bum.
Kind of endearing.
Yeah,
it's got a little baby bum.
You got a little baby bum. And I also think that maybe part of the reason why Sam connects to BB is that there's no physical touch involved. BB's in a pod and can't touch him. And so
Except
I think
when
that
it's
might
in
be
his
part
throat.
Of it. Well, yeah, but that's
point.
not for realsies happening. That's some weird beach nonsense. Yeah.
What the beach? Wait, that doesn't make sense.
What the beach? You really nailed that out of the
park. All right, well. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, Deadman says not to get attached. And Sam
says, too late.
Too late. I'm in love with this thing. So yeah, they see these things as objects and utility. BB's only served for a year. He links to his bed and falls asleep. And so I don't even know if they explain this. Why does he have to be connected to his bed? I don't know.
Well, he doesn't. I've noticed that, like,
so he doesn't get
when
kidnapped.
Sam comes into his rooms, he usually just, like after a delivery or whatever, he just collapses on the bed, and it looks like he falls asleep right away. But then when he wakes up, he's got the cuffs on his bed. So I have no idea what that's about. Maybe
so he doesn't fall off.
Maybe I don't know.
Like a toddler.
Like a toddler.
Die Hard
No,
comes
yeah,
in and kind of tucks him in while he's asleep.
Little blanket underneath him, and he gives him his teddy bear, and then handcuffs him to the bed, like a normal person.
Yeah. Anyway, so as he's falling asleep, he starts hearing London Bridge again, and yeah, so he sees Amelie. He argues reconnecting won't get rid of the BTs, but she says they'll at least have hope. Hartman gives him chiralium to use on the BT. This is probably a little disconnected. It's just how I've written it down. Hartman then gives him chiralium to use on the BT. He wants to uncover the past, not rebuild America. People become dependent on... So we already talked about the AI delivery stuff. All right. We find out some lore somewhere in between where Timefall immediately turns back into water after touching objects and organisms. So it's like it's stealing time, and then it just turns into water. So we have that finally answered for us. Why isn't the ground just aging your feet or whatever? I had those questions. Why aren't rivers killing you? I guess nobody else had those questions. I was just...
Well, I didn't really think about it. I just kind of assumed that it was like video game hand waving. They're like, we need to have rivers, and so it's probably fine.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah. There's another flash to Mads Mikkelsen at some point where he says the nurse has done nothing but lie to him and won't release his son. So just a lot of weird, subtle drama there. Sometimes they kind of just like do the same loop reference, and so it's like it's not progressing all that much. It's just a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, this part really brought up questions for me on just like, okay, it seems like the BB program may not be voluntary when there's a still mother.
That's a good point.
Where Mads Mikkelsen is clearly upset that they won't release BB-28 into his custody so he can leave.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting, like, okay, like, is Bridges forcing, these parents to, I guess just...
Are they creating bridge babies by killing mothers and then stealing the babies?
So, I don't know.
That is...
Yeah.
That's something.
So yeah, I kind of get the duality of like, Bridges has maybe some noble intentions, but some very questionable methods. And again, this is just the vibe I get in this part.
But sometimes
I'll have to
justifies the end.
Yeah, as we go forward, I'll have to have that thought in my brain and kind of see how that connects, because that's interesting.
Yeah, we find out also BBs are harvested after 28 weeks from a still mother. All right, so the chiral network is for transferring, and it uses the beach, and it might transfer through the past. So this is something that Hartman says to him through a chirogram, and just some lore that they sprinkled in there. I don't know that we can really connect it to anything that we know so far.
Yeah,
so
it's like a time travel 3D printer. It's like it seems like a little bit of hand waving, like they're explaining it, but then they say like, we don't fully understand, how these chiral printers work. But some have speculated that it's so quick that it might be pulling it from a different point in time. So it's kind of like a time machine, which is like the most bonkers way to explain fabricating equipment that I've ever heard of.
Yeah. Well, it could make sense why the beach exists out of time and space.
Yeah.
If it's using the beach as the central hub to, grab things.
Yeah. Also, I
think there's a lot more to the beaches than
some wibbly wobbly time travel.
Yeah.
Well, because the beach is full of chiralium because it is the other side. So it is like the beach is created out of chiralium because the chiralium is the matter by which the other side is it's the matter of the other side. So I don't know where I was going with that, but that's why. So things transfer through that, and I also was wondering. It's like I was trying to connect this, like maybe if things are transferring through the beach and then through the past, is this maybe connected to why he had the Cupid and the cuffs? But I think that still was just a vision, so I kind of dismissed that for now. But maybe it's why things can kind of be out of sync with time, some kind of like anachronistic timeline stuff going on. I don't know. All right. Yeah, so you do a bunch of like missions. At one point, Sam says, "Do you remember iPhones? Weren't they great?" Did you get that line?
Oh, I didn't. No.
He just says it so
paid
randomly.
them to do that. Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think it was supposed to mean anything. But at the same time, he couldn't have been alive when iPhones were around, right? Like, well, we don't know how old he was when the Death Stranding happened, but I thought it was implied that he wasn't alive at this point because that was when Igor was a kid. So why does he say this? It's just a super random.
I mean, maybe Apple survived the Death Stranding, kept on producing iPhones.
Apple gave Kojima a bunch of money. That's why he says it.
Again, they just fired the continuity team, you know?
Yeah.
Norman
Reedus has a specific contract with Apple where he has to mention iPhone at least once in every project he's in.
Yeah. Well, and you've heard about this, right? Like y'all saw Knives Out and you saw the video with the director, what's his face?
Oh, no, I know this one.
I know it too.
Ryan
Johnson. He did
Ryan
Star
Gosling.
Wars and stuff.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yep, the director.
But you saw the video where he was explaining iPhones and how Apple by like contract says that you can't have villains use iPhones on screen.
That's
and
hilarious.
That it gives away who can't be the killer in any given movie that he does. Because he has
all the bad guys use Samsungs.
Yeah. In Knives Out, there's this very specific scene where what's her name? Judy. What's her name? She just won an Oscar. The Scream Queen. What's her name?
Scream Queen.
The original.
Judy Garland.
No.
Judy Garland.
From
Dench?
Halloween. Well, I guess someone from King Kong was it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you say Freaky Friday? I would have got that right away.
Because I don't care about that movie.
I know.
Where was I going with this? Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'm
so lost in thought.
No bad guys using iPhone.
Oh,
in
Knives Out, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. She has an iPhone, and she's like, I don't know, she's yelling at the camera, and she's holding an iPhone. She's like shaking it at the screen, and so it's like you just know at that moment, okay, she's not the killer. It's like, well, if I'd known about Apple's rule, they don't want to associate their brand with evil.
Bad guys.
They're doing a pretty good job on that of their own.
Bing up job.
Yeah.
So their stock today,
that's how you guys know I'm not a killer.
Their stock peaked in December at 259, and today it hit like 169. It's glorious because I'm hoping to buy in at some point, but and write it back up. But we'll see. Supply chain is absolutely borked for the foreseeable future. All right. So Eric's mad because of the Nintendo Switch, obviously, but that is
the only thing I'm mad about. It's the only thing that matters in this world right now to me. Yeah, this will be after this airs. It might not be a problem anymore. We'll all be able to buy our $700 Nintendo Switches,
or it will be an even bigger problem, and we'll all be able to buy our $1,200 Switches.
Oh my gosh. I threw 700 out because that seemed like a truly bonkers number to me. But anyways, we won't get into that at all.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. It is what it is. All right. So you run into, at one point, Igor's brother, and he recognizes the keychain that I had mentioned in the previous episode, the little astronaut thing. That's the Kojima Productions logo. And he says, well, where did you get that? Because I have the same one, and he and his brother Igor have it. But then, like, immediately after this, we have a flash to Mads Mikkelsen showing this same keychain to the BB.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, but how is this keychain being given to the BB at that moment if the keychain came from Igor's brother?
I have that same thought. I have no idea how that works. What the timeline is on that. Maybe there's three of them, and it's a crazy coincidence.
It's implying that something is not what it looks like, and they want friction there. They're like, do you know what's going on? Because you don't know what's going on.
I took this as more shadiness towards the BB program of just like Igor and his brother were part of this program that then took this keychain away from Mads Mikkelsen's BB and their dead mom, and I don't know. I had a whole backstory in my mind, but I didn't write it down. So
I mean,
it's all
maybe.
Yeah,
they're prepping the still mothers and the BBs and stuff, and they're like, these are cool keychains, and they each took one. We don't know.
And then he shot Mads Mikkelsen, took the astronaut, and then it found its way back to the BB.
Perfect.
Exactly. Yep. That's how it works.
It's like, also, this BB, this is mine now. This is totally mine. All right. Okay, so then you get you eventually get to Port Knot City because you're trying to catch the Fragile Express, and you get pulled down by some BTs. Yes, Eric?
I just wanted 30 seconds on this. Is visually such a cool part of the game. Coming up on Port Knot City, you just pass through this scary area of BTs, and it's like it's just so perfectly framed. As you're coming around a corner, this like soft music kind of starts to sort of just trickle in, and it reaches the point in the music where it's starting to vocals come in, and it grabs you right as you're rounding this corner. There's a hill into like a little valley area with the like a lake or an ocean or something. I guess not an ocean, it's a lake. And then Port Knot City, and it's just this really beautiful because you've gone through something difficult, and then you come around this corner, and it's just like, you're almost there. And it's not a cut scene. It's not like a scripted event. I mean, I guess it technically is scripted, but it's not like it's not an on rails moment. It's something that just happens because the level design and the like kind of squeezes you into this certain direction, and it's fantastic. I love it.
So you know who else is really good at this is Naughty Dog, and they did it a lot with Uncharted, is they'd squeeze you into claustrophobic spaces and to kind of an on-rails linear situation, and they'd keep getting you tighter and tighter, and then they would have you emerge at an angle directly into a framed and blocked shot of like a hidden city or something like that, and it would all expand like in as you turn, and it would just open up all at once, and you'd get this entire vista, and so they were just like masters of organically framing a shot. It's really hard to do when you are in a 3D space and the player has full agency over the camera, and I just really appreciate the ones that can do that. Anyway, so so then this is like this of all things that I do remember from the first playthrough years ago. It's like, okay, I remember this sequence because it's gorgeous. A bunch of timefall, a bunch of black liquid chiralium, the BTs just pull you down, and then at some point they just kind of like let up, and you're like, wait, what's going on? And then so you gain your composure, and you're like, why aren't they trying to kill me? And then you look up, and Golden Face is there walking on chiralium.
Golden Face,
go puck yourself. All right. And he reveals his name to be Higgs, played by Troy Baker, obviously.
The world's most awesome person. I love Troy Baker. We all love Troy Baker. Everybody loves Troy Baker. I know that's not an original opinion, but he's fantastic.
I forgot how much I love Higgs' introduction into this game. And then this part, I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's why everybody loves Troy Baker.
Give me that Troy Baker goodness. Put it right in my veins. I love it.
Just, yeah, I don't know. I also just played Indiana Jones. Y'all will be playing it probably in a few weeks. And it's like, there's nothing he can't do. There's no role he can't like fall into. And like, he is a chameleon. He's great at voices. He has a whole spectrum of acting. He's not cast as a character. He does whatever the role asks of him. It's very impressive.
One of my favorite like Troy Baker moments is he's up on stage at some kind of like awards show or something with Nolan North, who is he does like Nathan Drake and a bunch of other video game voice acting stuff. But he's like, we get asked a lot, how do I break into voice acting, especially in video games? He's like, well, it's really easy. You work hard, you build a portfolio, you practice this, you do that, and then you wait for Nolan North and I to die. And that's how you get into voice acting in video games. Because they're just in everything. They're so talented and they can do so much that they just like if you pick 10 games, they're in 5 of them. Like they're just in so many games.
I didn't recognize the name right away. I think we talked about him last time. So I was looking him up to see if he had been in anything that I'd played before, and he was Booker in BioShock.
Oh, yeah.
Not BioShock. Yeah, BioShock Infinite.
BioShock Infinite.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job in that one.
Have you played The Last of Us? He's Joel in The Last of Us.
No.
I haven't yet. No. That one's
that's
next
a good one.
for me.
Put that one on your list. Yeah.
Oh, it's there waiting for me.
And anecdotally, there was also I think they were casting Indiana Jones. And it's like, I think it was for Indiana Jones, and they're like, well, who are we going to cast? Well, we can't do Troy Baker. Let's get somebody less obvious. And then he comes into audition anyway, and they're like, that's Indiana Jones. Like, nobody can do that. Nobody can do it like he does it.
So even when you're actively trying to not cast Troy Baker, you just have to do it anyways. Like,
so impressive. Like, and it's not even just like he like gets 85% of the voice absolute, like the idiolect perfect, the inflection, the charm, everything, the warmth in his voice. But more than that, it's like even the body language, the way he comports himself, the way he walks, he just like has like the exact same cadence and gait that Harrison Ford has. Like, how did he just embody Harrison Ford straight out of the 80s? Is very impressive. Anyway, so Higgs, he introduces himself and he says, the particle of God that permeates all existence. And I didn't think about this at first, and then I looked into it this time. Scott,
the Higgs boson, the God particle.
All right, Scott, do you take it if you know it?
No, that's about it.
Did you already know about it?
Well, yes, I knew about it. Yes, but like I've already admitted that I didn't play through this part. But once you mentioned the God particle, I was like, oh, Higgs boson, the God particle. Okay.
Yeah. So Scott reads a lot, especially sci-fi. Is that where you've picked up on this, or?
I can't remember where I picked up on it. It's been a few years though.
All right, so this would have been so much more obvious to someone like you, but not us. But I did look into it.
Completely flew over my head. Yeah. Thought he was just being poetic. Yeah.
No, everybody's name has a purpose, and for some reason I was like, I'm not going to look into Higgs. Even though he introduces himself with a motto or whatever, with a line.
Yeah, I think we were just so enamored by Troy Baker that just went all over our head.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read a bunch of stuff that I don't understand. And so it's going to sound like word soup, so you're just going to have to go with it.
Is this about like what hit the God particle means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to have ChatGPT explain it to me, and then I said, please word it in a way that I can describe it.
And it was like, I am a computer. I'll do my best.
Like, explain it to me like I'm 3.
Yeah.
And next summer I'll be 6.
All right. So the Higgs boson is a tiny particle that proves something bigger and invisible is real. Something called the Higgs field. The Higgs field is like an invisible energy field that fills the entire universe. as particles move through it, some of them interact with it and gain mass, like how your clothes get wet if you walk through water. The more a particle interacts with this Higgs field, the more massive it becomes. The Higgs boson is basically a ripple in that Higgs field. When scientists found it in 2012, it was like finally spotting a wave that proves the ocean is there. All right. So, so the Higgs boson, so he refers to himself as the particle, not the, so he's not referring to the field. He's referring to the particle that proves the field is there. So it's like he is the connection to the between the physical and the metaphysical, the beach and the real world, and he is the proof of that other space, and and he's like a catalyst. He's the ability to interact and ripple through those waves to prove that it is there. It's I couldn't really wrap my mind around it. I'm probably not even getting a good explanation out of it. But are you kind of grasping like why maybe he was named? This is such a brilliant name that I can't even describe, but he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, we see in just a minute here, after this encounter, you talk to Fragile, and she mentions that Higgs is level 7 dooms. And so, like, he has some level of control over BTs. So it stands to reason that he has a very deep connection to the beach and to the other side, and is that particle that proves the existence of the other side, and as a point of entry to the beach, maybe. And up to this point, we haven't heard of anyone else being level 7. I think Fragile says she's level 3, and Sam is level 2, unless he's connected to BB, and then he's level 3.
All right, so Higgs, he looks up at the roof on the building in Port Knot City and sees Fragile and says, it was you who dragged him into all of this. So, but then he like zaps at her and she disappears, and he then like goes sniffing around Sam, and he's able to smell that Bridget Strand is dead and was incinerated, and that Amelie took her place as president.
I noticed that too. He's like, and he just like it dumps the whole like first act of the plot in there, and you're like, what are you smelling that like indicates that to you?
It literally smells crime.
Yeah.
He goes, he smells crime? You gotta write this down.
So Higgs can smell crime. That's what's going on.
He can also smell ascension to power. So.
Yeah, maybe something to do with Chiralium and how it affects like this side and the other. Maybe Sam has some kind of leftover chiral mark on him from these events that Higgs is able to smell. I don't know, man. Like it's just another instance of Kojima weirdness that I can't even begin to understand.
He can smell concepts.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
a weird form of aphasia of some kind, right?
Yeah. That's it. Like seeing color, or was it here?
Tasting colors.
Tasting colors, purple. Something like that.
Yeah. I think the more likely thing is that Higgs got this information from some kind of an informant or whatever, and then he's like, "What's the creepiest way that I could convey that I know?" Ooh, you smells like your mom died. Like. Very weird.
You know, anyway, the girl, for instance, she's not like the two of them. Dooms ain't her thing. She's more into destruction on a worldwide scale, an extinction entity. All right,
talking about Amelie, right? Yeah.
So we now kind of get to tie back to Amelie and her in black walking into the void out apocalypse. He's referring to her as an extinction entity, but we don't really know what that means. Why is she into destruction on a worldwide scale when she wants to be connecting the UCA? What is he referring to there?
Yeah. Really hinting that like Higgs knows something that we don't know. Like he's saying this stuff that just doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah, is it something that Amelie knows and is hiding, or is it something that she doesn't know and will happen to her? I don't know. Well, no, she's more into it, so she does want it. So she's lying to
According to Higgs, well, if what Higgs
if he's
is
not
saying
lying
can be trusted, yeah.
That's fair.
Maybe Higgs, and I'm sure that in Higgs' worldview, everyone wants what he wants, right? Like this is because he's an ideologue that believes the way that he believes, and that's the way to do it. And so him saying that Amelie wants this probably just means that Higgs wants this, and he's imposing his worldview on the people around him.
We haven't seen him lie about anything yet, but maybe. Like,
well, I'm not saying that he's lying. I'm saying that he believes so strongly in what he does that he just assumes others believe the same. Or they want the same, even if they don't know they do.
Those people exist. All right. All right, so then he looks over at the inky chiralium. He says, it's hard to form connections when you can't shake hands. And then his hands turn into tendrils similar to the giant BT golden hand. And he says he has a good connection to the other side, and he shoots his tendril umbilical cords into... So this is where I thought, okay, so this is the chiralium that connects him to the beach ocean water, and he's pulling out the sea creature from the ocean on the beach.
Yeah, and we what is this thing? Like, we've seen humanoid BTs. Is this some kind of larger creature that has, like, is it a whale or something? And this is or do only humans become BTs?
No, all organic things can become BTs. All living creatures.
Yeah.
But why can they also turn into this? I don't know. I guess the humans turn into like monster-ish creatures, but sea creatures turn into Lovecraftian
scary monsters.
There's things with like skull head masks.
See, and I don't know about that, because if they all become BTs when they die, a void out has to occur for a BT to be born. They've said that, like, when a person dies, like in the prequel, not the prequel, in the what's it called? The
prologue.
The prologue. There we go. Good grief. Why could I not think of the word but in the prologue, they talk about how, yeah, that's when BTs are born, is when someone dies and their body isn't incinerated, that it causes a void out and then creates a BT. So if other animals and things can become BTs, that would indicate that they create some kind of a void out. So, like, there would be constant void outs all over whenever, a bug dies. So I'll have to look into that, because I don't know if that's the case. If animals
have you seen any
BTs.
bugs? Maybe they're already dead.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Maybe every raindrop is a mosquito that has voided out and it has turned to
teeny tiny void outs. Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to Google that. We can talk about it next time.
All right. Higgs is bound to both worlds, and our little sweet angel of death. And we already talked about that. And he pulls out the creature. Okay, so he wants the BT to void out Sam to blow them up and Port Knot City. So this is his Homodemen's extremist nonsense coming out, where he just wants to blow up the cities to prevent them from connecting.
And Sam is a logical target for that. He wants to blow up the cities. Sam is traveling to all of the cities. He's a repatriate, so even if he dies, it's likely for Higgs to assume that he'll still try to go to the next city. So, like, Sam is a good target to create many void outs at the exact places that Higgs wants to attack, because those are the places where Sam is headed.
He also, right before Higgs disappears, he alludes to Sam wanting a game over. This felt like a throwaway line at first until I thought about it again, but he seems to understand that Sam wants to actually die, and repatriation won't let him. And I didn't pick up on that right away. So Sam has a death wish, and Higgs is willing to give it to him. I think, unless I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that specific point too much, but for someone who has, died several times and keeps coming back, I'm sure that that's a frustrating battle with mortality that you might just want to like be done with it.
Never seen anything based on Groundhog's Day where the person has always been okay with being alive. Even the Good Place or whatever, they all eventually want to die. All right, so you blood bomb the shit out of the Lovecraftian Cthulhu creature back to Golden Hell. And
back to Golden Hell.
He explodes into chiralium, and it's just beautiful. I don't know, just excellent direction here. Okay, so after that whole sequence, Hartman alludes to your Ka being rejected by the beach. He says this while you're picking up all the chiralium, which is why your blood can reject BTs back to the beach. So we don't know what a Ka is, but, well, do we? Not really. I mean, I kind of know.
They haven't explained it in game yet, but if you look up Ka, like it has like some kind of spiritual significance tied to your spirit, not your body.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So this is what makes him a repatriate, is the beach doesn't allow the Ka to be there. So it sounds like the soul. It's rejected by the beach. So when he's on the beach, his soul, or no, I guess it could be his soul because it has to be in a liminal space, but it can't stay there. I don't know. But because of that same rejection of the beach where they are frictitious with each other, that's the same friction that allows him to use his blood to reject BTs from the physical back to the beach. So
because the beach is rejecting him, and so when the other entities are in his world, he can use his own parts of his biology to reject the other entities back to their own world. That makes sense. Yes. In a weird kind of a way. Yeah.
Yeah, so something about him isn't allowed to stay on the beach forever, so he can't die, which makes him a repatriate, and that allows him to also send BTs back there. That's great lore. Good for him. Does he do drugs? What's going on?
Almost certainly. I'd be shocked if he didn't. If this is just happening to his brain without any kind of chemical influence, I like it. No, I truly believe that he's just he's just got a different brain from every other person on the planet. There's just things going on up there that no one else can understand.
Like, okay, I'm not well versed in how drugs work, right? But here's what I imagine. You consume as much literature and media as humanly possible over your entire life, and then you take something like acid to freely connect all of the neurons in your brain, and they all just like, originally they have like a very specific path. Then you take something like acid, and it's like they start connecting in different ways, and they start freely associating, and he sees into a different world that has never existed before. And he just starts recording it, and it's just,
and then you write the script for Death Stranding. Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Okay. After this, Fragile shows up, says Higgs is at least a level 7 to control the BTs, so we've already talked about that. She says they used to work together. Sam says, thinks that maybe this makes her a terrorist, but she says Higgs didn't used to be a terrorist, so it's more like he became extreme instead of the other way around. Fragile won't reveal her real motive, but just wants things to be different. And that is the end of chapter 2. We did it.
Whew, we did it. And in just over the time.
Yeah. We've had
this might be our longest episode. I don't know what our longest
one or two. Yeah. One just as long. All right. Well, any other things you wanted to mention? Any other details?
Yeah. This was who wants to talk about other things? I bet if we really wanted to, we could go for another 30 minutes.
Did I push past any details, or like I'm champing at the bit to throw that out? Let me get it out real quick.
I think the at least a level 7 is an interesting way of phrasing that, of that he could be higher.
Like controlling BTs on the scale that Higgs does. What could be higher than that?
Yeah. Also, who standardized these levels? Is there a DOMS authority, as Eric would put it?
DOMS authority.
Dooms Authority, like the Center for the CDC, the Center for Dooms Control.
Center for Dooms.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you've got Dooms, and then you've got Dooms 2, Dooms 3, which wasn't as good. Dooms 2016, which was really good. Yeah.
Dooms Eternal.
Really good.
And then Dooms Eternal.
Yeah. All right. Well, fine. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. And please follow and watch Eric's Indie Corners on Thursdays. I don't think anybody's going to watch this episode because nobody watched the first. But I hope that we can convince somebody to do it.
Do it, please.
Well, do it. Just do it.
Dreams happen.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
There we go.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Outro. Bleepy doof, bleepity, bloopity blow.